Welcome to the Fuck Around and Find Out podcast, Perimenopause edition. This is the show where we stop pretending that everything is fine and start talking about the real hormonal shit show that is your late 30s and early 40s. This is the Too Young for This Shit series because, let's be honest, that's exactly how it feels right now. You know, no one warned us that this shit was coming either. They all taught us that it was menopause and we had another 15, 20 years before we had to deal with it. Nope, it's now. My name's Sav, and today we're diving into the number one lie most women in perimenopause believe, which is that they're just lazy now. And I hate to break it to you, but my girl, you're not lazy. Your hormones are impacting your level of motivation. So let's get into it. So here's what I wish someone told me sooner. And that is when your estrogen and progesterone drop in perimenopause, they don't just mess with your period. They mess with your dopamine and your serotonin, aka your get shit done chemicals. So if you're waking up thinking what is the point of getting out of bed today? What is the point of really doing anything with my life? Not just today, but ever again. This is why. So if you even brushing your teeth feels like a full-blown accomplishment, it's not because you're lazy or unmotivated or depressed. It's because you have some hormonal fluctuations that need to be addressed. So let me break it down with my own story. When I was 38, I had achieved what I would deem the best condition of my life. I was training for a show. I ended up not getting on stage. That's a whole nother story. But I was training 5 days a week. I was hitting 10 to 12,000 steps a day, eating really well, and also living a balanced lifestyle. And it felt easy. It felt easy to achieve and maintain my goal physique for what I would say was the first time ever. One of the reasons that I didn't end up stepping on stage is because I was enjoying just the balance of it all. You know, I could still go out and have cocktails on the weekends. We were still going on vacation and I just felt really good. I just felt happy. And then I didn't. And it honestly felt like just one day I fell from a 30-story building down to the ground. But let's be honest, it was a slow unraveling. You don't just gain 20, 30 pounds overnight. It happened over the course of 6 months. And I want to say I didn't change anything, but I did. I wasn't training 5 days a week anymore. I wasn't hitting 10 to 12,000 steps a day anymore. I wasn't monitoring my nutrition as closely as I was before. But it wasn't because I didn't know how. It wasn't because I was undisciplined or that I was unmotivated. It was because those happy chemicals made it feel fucking pointless. I honestly just didn't care anymore. And here's the thing. On paper, things looked fine. My period was regular. My hormones on paper looked good. But being that I took that at surface level and didn't go any deeper, things started to snowball. And suddenly I noticed that I was losing handfuls of hair. That was probably one of the first signs that I was in perimenopause. But again, I just chalked it up to, I just need a better hair serum. I just need to wash my hair more, And then I noticed that I was getting really, really poor sleep. And I just thought I just needed to take better supplements before I go to bed. I just need to adjust my nighttime routine. And then I noticed that I was sweating a lot in the middle of the night. And that I was like, I just need to get a new mattress. I just need to wear lighter clothes to bed. These are all the things that even a health coach, I've been doing this shit for a long ass time. I've been in the health and fitness industry for 20 years. Even I, who we specialize in hormones, was gaslighting myself. Yeah, that's fucked up. It's not just your doctor that gaslights you. We do it to ourselves too. I'd be willing to bet that you've done it to yourself over the last few months thinking, I'm not in perimenopause. I'm too young for this shit. Yeah, I thought so too, my girl. I thought so too. I just kept blaming myself, telling myself I just needed to get back on track, to try harder, to push harder, to be more disciplined. I even hired a coach to help prep me for another show. Even though I haven't stepped on stage in 7, 8 years, I just kept thinking that the solution was do more. And it could not have been further from the truth. The worst thing that you can do when you're in perimenopause is do more. I would say, unless you are truly in a state of being completely sedentary and eating like a fucking asshole. But I'd be willing to bet if you are here listening to this episode, you're not like that. You're probably trying all the things and just getting nowhere. So here's what I just want to acknowledge. If I, a very seasoned hormone coach, miss the signs, it's no wonder so many other women do too. Okay. So I'm not here to shame you over it. I'm here to tell you you're normal. You're only human. Okay. It's natural, especially when you are a high performing type A perfectionist. You always feel like if there's something wrong, it's likely within your power to change, right? And in a way, it is, but in a way, it's not. We have to shift the perspective. So it is within your power to regain control over your hormones. It is not within your power at this point to keep pushing harder and harder just because that's what always worked. That is not taking your power back. That is creating the insanity cycle. Because what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same shit that you did in your 20s and when you are perimenopausal now. So anyhow, what really fucked me up wasn't necessarily the weight gain. It wasn't the hair loss. It was the identity crisis. So the brain fog, the inability to focus, the lack of desire for life in general, that's what really fucked me up. I was questioning, like, do I even love to run this health coaching business anymore? Like, is this even something that I want to do anymore? I was questioning my friendships. I was questioning my marriage. I was questioning my life. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but it was a very dark time for me. I was scaring myself with these thoughts that I was having, and I was scaring my husband with these thoughts that I was having too. And so that's another episode that we can talk about the effect that it has on other people, but it did affect him. It scared him a lot. These things that I was saying that I just didn't care about myself anymore. And I became a really bad friend. I lost a lot of friends during this time because I was so overwhelmed and like literally mentally fatigued all the time that it would take me days or weeks to get back to even my closest of friends. And it got to the point where a lot of them just wrote me the fuck off, and rightfully so. And even when those things happened, I couldn't even defend myself because I was like, yeah, that's valid. I'm being a piece of shit friend. But I didn't know why. All I knew was that it didn't feel like it was within my power to change. I felt so incredibly overwhelmed with just everything in life. And it's not that I didn't care about my friends. It's not that I didn't care about my husband or my relationships. It was, I literally just couldn't find the energy because my like, I don't know, physiological makeup was so focused on trying to balance what was going on within me. And yeah, that was a really difficult time. It was really shitty. And now I can see it for what it really was, which was I was dysregulated. And the best way that I can describe this is it's like your body is trying to run a system update. It's like when your phone is like, hey, you need to update. And you're like, remind me later, remind me later. It's not a good time. It's not a good time. And then all of a sudden, guess what? You really need to use your phone. It's an emergency. Maybe you're trying to get on a Zoom call. Maybe you're trying to, do a bank transfer or something. And it's like, we're going to update now. Bitch, you can't put us off any longer. We need to do this update, whether you like it or not. And then it's at the most inconvenient time. So what I'm telling you is that your system is going through a system update, and you can either let it go through the update now, focus on updating it now, or it's gonna fucking force you to update. And believe me, you don't want to get into that place where you have lost all your friends. Maybe you have lost your business. Maybe your marriage is on the rocks, or has even ended. That is really the extent that these things can evolve to if you don't address them when you still have control over the outcome. Don't let this shit ruin your life, because it can. I can't tell you how many times I contemplated just drinking myself until I didn't wake up because I couldn't feel a lot of happy feelings. Remember, the dopamine and the serotonin were being affected. So naturally, we look for ways to supplement those happy feelings. And my way was alcohol. And it got to the point where I was drinking like an uncomfortable amount. I didn't even enjoy it anymore. But I was searching for something. I was searching for happiness again. And if I let that perpetuate, I really, really would have lost everything. So this shit is serious, okay? But let's lighten the mood a little bit. Damn, I didn't mean to get so deep here. Other symptoms that I noticed that I feel like nobody talks about are the itchiness. I was getting so itchy that I would like break the skin trying to scratch this itch, random itches, like on my legs and on my arms. I'd be like, what the fuck? My husband would be like, are you okay? The inner ear itch and the ringing of the ears, the intense like dizziness and lightheadedness when you get up, that increased a lot. You know, it's definitely not just hot flashes and period disruption. Perimenopause it's a full on overhaul to your life, but it can be a really positive shift too. And that's what I want to acknowledge in this series, that it's not just doom and gloom, like, oh my God, you better get this shit fixed now or everything's going to go down the drain. You know, it can be a good thing. It can be your opportunity to level up, but in the easiest way possible. And that's what we're going to be talking about in some future episodes. How can we use perimenopause to our advantage so it actually creates our next level version of ourselves? Because now that I have figured out how to work with it and I'm no longer working against the grain of my hormones, I'm so much happier. I'm so much more calm. I don't feel like I am that type A all or nothing perfectionist anymore, but in the best way. I don't know about you, but I used to pride myself on that. And burnout is nothing to be proud of. You don't get a badge of honor for constantly being burnt out, you know? So here's what I want you to understand. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You do not need to push harder. You don't need to keep trying to make the things that worked in your 20s and 30s work now. They're not going to fucking work, my girl. We are different now, and that is okay. The best thing about that is that in this phase, doing less, taking a couple steps back will actually propel you forward if you do it with the proper strategy. So this is not the end. It's just your pivot. We're creating the 2.0 version of yourself, okay? But you've got to stop ignoring this system update, okay? Stop putting it off. So in this next episode, we're going to talk about why your focus, your mood, your energy are all a hot mess and how to start getting them stable again so you're not overwhelmed, all right? This is not a 12-step plan. That's another thing that happens in perimenopause. We tend to get very overwhelmed and we have difficulty focusing, especially when we're trying to focus on a lot of things. So this is where we shift. We need to have small, actionable steps towards the bigger picture. And please, for the love of fucking God, don't start going and buying a bunch of supplements, okay? Because one, the supplements that your favorite Instagram influencer are not going to necessarily apply to you. Supplements, even though they are over the counter and they might be all natural herbal supplements, can still hurt you. So let's start with having the proper habits and routines, because when you build a strong foundation and then introduce the proper supplementation, you can become the powerhouse that you used to be, okay? But it starts there. It doesn't start with supplements, all right? So if you're ready to stop guessing and actually start healing, you can DM me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is sav_tastic. DM me the word reset, and I'll send you our free hormone reset blueprint, which is the exact starting point that we use with a lot of our clients. And if this episode made you feel seen, please share it on your stories and tag me, because I guarantee there's another woman out there crying in her car thinking that she's the only one. And if this episode resonated with you, it might really help her too. So this isn't the part where your story ends. This is the part where you're taking motherfucking power back. I will see you next time.